Hey guys, welcome back to Global Bites. Today we're making gyoza.
Gyoza are Japanese dumplings. They initially look difficult to make, especially with the folding, but they're pretty manageable and fun to make.
They're also really popular because of the texture. The bottom gets crispy and the top stays soft. So the inside is juicy and really flavorful. And you get a little bit of everything when you eat it.
So overall, this one recipe where it might take a little time, but the steps themselves are pretty simple.
Before we start cooking, we wanted to let you guys know a little bit more about gyoza and where they actually come from, because they have a history a little longer than most people expect. And they're also a good example of how food changes when it moves between cultures. Gyoza are originally based on Chinese dumplings called gyoza, which have been around for over 1,000 years and are traditionally eaten during major holidays like the Lunar New Year, and they symbolize wealth and good fortune because of their shape. These dumplings eventually made their way to Japan, especially in the early 20th century, and became more popular after World War II, when Japanese soldiers who had been in China returned home and brought the idea back of dumplings. Once they were introduced in Japan, the recipe started to change in small but important ways, which is why Japanese gyoza are a little different from traditional Chinese dumplings. For example, gyoza usually have thinner wrappers and are packed a little more tightly with filling, which gives them a stronger flavor in each bite. The filling itself also became more standardized, typically using ground pork mixed with cabbage, garlic, and ginger, which creates a balance between something rich and something fresh. One of the biggest differences, though, is how they're cooked.
While Chinese dumplings are often boiled or steamed, Japanese gyoza are most commonly pan-fried first to get a crispy bottom and then steamed in the same pan, which gives them that signature combination of textures: crispy on one side and soft on the other. Over time, gyoza became really popular in Japan as more of an everyday food instead of just something for special occasions. And you can now find them in restaurants, street food stalls, and even as frozen food in grocery stores. What's interesting is that even though gyoza are now considered a staple of Japanese cuisine, their origins show how food can travel and adapt, changing slightly depending on where it goes and what ingredients are available. And now they have spread even further around the world, and you can find all kinds of variations. But the core idea has stayed the same: a simple wrapper filled with a flavorful mixture and cooked in a way that creates a really satisfying texture. So today, we're making a classic version that stays pretty close to that traditional Japanese style.
Alright, now let's go over the ingredients. For the filling, we're using half a pound of pork, which is the base of the mixture and gives it most of the flavor. Then we have about 1.5 cups of napa cabbage, finely chopped, which adds a texture and keeps the filling from being too dense. We also have 2 green onions, chopped, which add a bit of freshness.
Then we have 2 cloves of garlic, minced, and about 1 teaspoon of grated ginger, which both add a lot of aroma and depth. For seasoning, we're using 1 tablespoon of soy sauce and 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, which together give it that classic savory and slightly nutty flavor. And then just a little salt to taste. And finally, we have our dumpling wrappers, which we're using straight from the store to keep things simple. And now we'll go ahead and make our filling. So in a bowl, we're going to add half a pound of ground pork. Then we're gonna go ahead and add 1 cup of chopped napa cabbage. Then we'll add the 2 chopped green onions. And with that, also add the minced garlic and grated ginger. After that, we'll go ahead and pour in the 2 tablespoons of soy sauce.
Now we mix everything together. It's honestly easiest just to use your hands, but I'm gonna be using a fork. You want the mixture to feel slightly sticky and fully combined, not too dry or too crumbly.
Now comes the part that looks the hardest, which is folding the dumplings. First, we're gonna take one wrapper and then place a small amount of filling in the middle. Not too much, because if you have too much, it'll be hard to seal. Then dip your finger into some water and lightly wet the edges of the wrapper. Next, we'll fold it in half and then pinch the center closed. Make small folds around the edges to make sure it's sealed. And just like that. Now that our dumplings are folded, we're going to move over to the pan and cook them. So in a pan, heat some oil over medium heat. I'm gonna go ahead and add our oil. Turn on the heat. Once the pan and oil are hot, place the gyozas flat side down in the pan. Let them cook for a few minutes until the bottoms turn golden brown and crispy. Once they have turned golden brown and crispy on the bottom, like this, we're going to carefully add a small amount of water to the pan. And then we're going to quickly cover it with a lid. The steam will cook the tops of the dumplings and make sure the filling is fully cooked. After a few minutes, once the water has mostly evaporated, remove the lid and let them cook a little longer so the bottoms stay crispy. Once they're done, take them out and serve them right away while they're still hot. They're best when you get that contrast between the crispy bottom and the soft top.
Now we have crispy gyoza on the bottom, soft on the top, and the filling is ready and juicy and flavorful.
Honestly, once you make them yourself, they taste even better than store-bought.
And yeah, that's gyoza. It's a little bit of time and effort, but it's definitely worth it.
Thank you for watching this episode of Making Gyozas of Global Bites, and see you next time.
Hi everybody, my name's Ian Guthrie and I'm here about to do the gyoza taste test for Global Bites. I don't think I have any food allergies, but we're about to find out. You know, this dumpling looks really great. It's got a good fry on the bottom. Lovely aromatics happening here. I'm really eager to take the first bite, so here we go. So the texture on like the outermost covering is really solid. It's not too tough. I can tell that I'm eating these maybe a day or two after they were made, but I can tell that you all were really thoughtful about how to balance the difference between the fried up bottom and the steamier side. The pork. The pork is right.
Thank you.
It's moist. Yeah, really, really delicious. The cabbage, this one doesn't have too much cabbage in it, but in general, I want to say this is a 93.6A.
Ooh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Perfect.